Where Sleeping Girls Lie is setting the standard for what dark academia books should be. Not only does it cover the complex themes of SA, racial discrimination, misogyny, institute corruption, and mental illness, it's also written beautifully, woven into a tale of mystery, intrigue, wrought within the school, and really great representation. You're about to watch me read Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Frida Àbíké-Íyímídé, where I'll be updating you periodically with my thoughts as I read the book. I'm really excited about this book. I have really high expectations. Not only was it the staff pick of the month at my local bookstore, I've also seen it on list of like the best books of the year. This is a YA book, and I love YA. And it's like a very new one. I've never heard of this author before, but I have very high expectations. I think that the cover is interesting. I don't usually like when there's people on a cover, but there's something that kind of caught my eye about it anyways, and I was like, oh, what's this about? And it sounds really cool. So from my understanding, Where Sleeping Girls Lie basically follows our main character, Sade, and she was homeschooled, and then she ends up going to this like prestigious kind of boarding school, I believe, for her third year of high school, and she's pretty unlucky when it comes to things. Like misfortune has followed her entire life. And so she starts at this new school. The next day, her roommate goes missing or is murdered or something. And people are like, oh, you're involved in that? Like, did you do something? That kind of stuff. And that kind of catches the attention of, I think they're called the Unholy Trinity, which are other people in that school who kind of like take Sade into their group, and they start to like investigate what happened. And then another student goes missing, and they're like, there's something weird happening here. And so they all kind of investigate together. So it sounds really interesting. I love this kind of story where there's like that mystery and then like unlikely characters kind of going together to try and figure out like what's going on and just to reveal that. So I'm hoping that it's going to be really great and it's going to be very surprising. That would be really awesome. I feel like it will be. I have a lot of high expectations for this book. So without further ado, let's read Where Sleeping Girls Lie. Oh, but wait, we know the drill. This is the hardcover, and the dust cover's gotta come off before I can read the book. Hope there is a design underneath. Oh, okay. It's okay. Oh wait, there's something. Interesting. I think that's Morse code. Interesting. I wonder what that's about. I don't know Morse code, but cool. Okay, I thought there was nothing on here, but there's like a little subtle detail in there. Interesting. I'm sure I'll figure out what that's all about. So without further ado, let's read this book for real. I'm now a little bit more than 100 pages into Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and here are my thoughts so far. This book gets straight into it, which I always really appreciate. It starts off like really dark and depressing, and then it's introducing you immediately to the setting, to the characters. Our main character, Sade, had a lot of bad things happen to her, and she's constantly like hallucinating this like dead girl following her around. So I don't know what that's about, but it's pretty scary, and I'm sure that it's going to be revealed later, and it has something to do with swimming, and she was also like a big competitive swimmer. She grew up like homeschooled, and then eventually now like after everybody she knows like passed away, she was able to get into a boarding school. And so there's a lot of like bad things that have happened to this poor girl and only continue to happen as we're going. There's like some really creepy thing that I'm sensing from one of her teachers. Gross. I really hope that she like punches him in the face or something. That's pretty disturbing. And then yeah, there's just a lot happening. So Sade is now in this like boarding school, and she basically meets her roommate, and her roommate's Elizabeth, and she introduces her to her other best friend, which is Baz, also known as Basil, and the three of them kind of hang out for the day. kind of showing her the ropes and stuff. And then next day, main character wakes up and Elizabeth's nowhere to be seen. Baz is like, doesn't seem too concerned. By the second day, people are getting concerned because Elizabeth is just gone. Nobody knows what's happening. And so as the days continue to pass by, people are like, oh, like, did the roommate have something to do with it? And our poor main character, Sade, has grown up in this really challenging kind of environment and had a lot of bad things happen to her. So she constantly thinks that she's bad luck. And because of her coming to this school, that's why Elizabeth is gone. And so it's depressing that this poor girl feels that way. So kind of following along with her. And then after that, she's kind of like starting to investigate, and she's meeting these other people, and like the Unholy Trinity, which are like these three kind of like beautiful girls. They're not like the most popular girls, but they're like, people call them that because they're so ridiculously pretty that they think that they've done some kind of like witchcraft to make them look like that. And so, I mean, maybe that's actually true. I don't know. I don't know if there's like a magic aspect to this book, but they take an interest in Sade because they want to find out like if she was actually like a murderer or something for her roommate. And they actually seem to actually like her, maybe. And yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I also think that there might be a gay romance with Sade and Persephone. I'm getting those vibes, so we'll see. I hope so, because like they're really cute. I like their interactions. So I'm going to continue to read Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I'm excited to see where the rest of the story is going to go, the mystery that's going to unravel, more about the characters and kind of the setting that we're in, because there's a lot of mystery that's going on in the story, as well as just like even like something about the shadows of like one of the other houses. Like people are put into different houses dependent on like the personality trait. It's very Harry Potter, but it's like modern day. And so when she walked by like the Hawkins house, she swore she could feel someone watching her. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I am enjoying the book. I think it's well done. I think that it's written well. I think that the characters are really realistic. It is definitely like dark and mysterious, which is what I expected. So far we're on the right track. So I will update you when I hit about the halfway mark. So I will see you then. I'm now more than halfway through Where Sleeping Girls Lie. It's divided into 3 parts, so I just finished the second part, and there's some interesting stuff happening in this book. Not only is it kind of like a mystery to be solved book, there's also a lot of just like slice of life moments and just high schoolers doing high schooler things in like a really prestigious kind of setting. So that's really fun to follow along, because it's not always investigating. It's like trying to figure out, where do you belong? Like, does this make sense for you? Characters going through classes, characters kind of dealing with their own personal issues, friendships forming and breaking, and then of course that underlying mystery of like what happened to Elizabeth. There was a part that was kind of like grinded my gears a little bit in the second part, which was just that everybody seemed to be obsessed with Sade. However, I think that I forgive that now, because it's more than what it appeared to be when I got to the end of part 2. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I got you, I understand. So that was good. That was interesting, because I was like, really? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I love when books do that. But I don't like to be annoyed. But like, I'm kind of like relieved of my annoyedness, if that makes sense, just because of like how it was done, which is pretty cool. And this book is really well written. I like all of the kind of like hidden themes throughout. I really like following along our main character Sade. I think that she's really interesting, she's really complex, and she's got a lot of secrets, so I'm excited to see more of those secrets be revealed, and her growing kind of like friendship and hopefully relationship with Persephone. They definitely got some of those vibes going on. I'm like, yes, please get together, they would be so cute together. And yeah, I'm just like, yes. So yeah, now that I finished part 2, this isn't a spoiler because it is in the summary of the book, like when you have like the little flip cover and it kind of tells what the book's about, that there's also a murder that happens, and the murder just happened. So I'm excited to see what this final, like this third and final part is going to reveal, how all the pieces are going to connect. We're learning about the Morse code aspect. We're learning about kind of like secret societies in a way, and a lot of just like connections and pieces. So I'm excited to see how all these pieces fit together and what's going to happen, because a book like this, I don't really know how it could end, and that's always exciting because like, how does the author choose to end a book like this? And so I will find out. Obviously I won't spoil it for you. And yeah, so I'll continue to read Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and I will update you when I finish this book. So I will see you then. I just finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and oh boy, okay, this was very well done. This was very well done. Not only was it a slow burn romance with mystery in a dark academia setting, it was also just so well done with really complex and hard themes that were tackled so tastefully. Understanding like this institution felt so real, and it was so interesting to be able to see like the politics and the dynamics and just peeling apart what's happened in the inner workings, and how people are just like paying money to make things go away, and how like these girls are just trying to survive the things that are happening to them. And it was really, really well done. And there were a bunch of really, really important themes in the book. There was a lot of racial issues covered. There was misogyny. There was LGBTQ+. There was really just like, I don't want to spoil it because it's a central theme of the story, but it's not mentioned like in the little cover area, so I don't want to spoil it for you. But it's people who can get away with things because they're rich, and people not believing women when they're just trying to tell the truth. And it does it so well, so realistic, and even the ending just leaves you feeling like bittersweet. And I think that makes sense. This book felt very, very real. I think that it was really interesting to see it from the perspective of somebody who's gone through so much hardship and so much trauma for her entire life, and finally getting into a place where she's starting to kind of belong, and then there's all these mysteries that she's unraveling, and her character, like Sade, very great character. Basil was really fun as well, and I love Persephone, and all the other characters who just kind of like added up to the story really made it like feel very realistic. And as somebody who's was homeschooled their entire life, I don't really have a very good grasp on like what school is actually like when you're in high school or below. I only have my college experience, and so being able to see like the dynamics and the different cliques and like how people are kind of merging and becoming friends and really just how everything works, I thought that was done, at least how I imagine, very realistically. But I will say it's definitely a very heavy read. I expected it to be a heavy read going into the book, and I think that's a really important thing. Like if you are going to go into a book that you know is going to be heavy, then it's good to kind of prepare yourself so you can really read it. I've had some times with Darling Girls where I didn't know it was going to be a heavy read, and so I was like really suffering through it because I didn't prepare myself for something like that. But for this one, I would say it's like a safe heavy read. If that's like, I don't know, maybe that's just my experience with it. And so obviously like, this is my experience. This isn't like, everybody's different. But for me, it was, because it's YA, it doesn't go too into detail about certain aspects, but it handles it very, very well. I don't think that it would be too triggering for anybody who has experienced things in the books. Like it is uncomfortable, of course, but I think that it is a safer kind of book to read, and I think that it's really well done, and it's really important, I think, for a young adult audience to read something like this and know like they're not alone in the kind of stuff that happens to them, and that the system's pretty broken. It was really well done. I really enjoyed that book. I would definitely recommend Where Sleeping Girls Lie. The messages are really great. That ending was like satisfying but also not satisfying, but it's also so realistic. I can't, it's raw, it's real, it's what real life is like. And I like that it's kind of like like things are wrapped up. Although the only thing that wasn't wrapped up for me was like the weird creepy vibes we were getting from one of the teachers. And I think that's definitely intentional because like they don't address it. It's just yet another thing that's within the layers and layers of like an institute that people are trying to cover up and hide. So I wonder if maybe there's like a second book. Like I know that this is over now, but I wonder if maybe there's like another story from other characters who go to this institute and that teacher gets arrested because he was giving really creepy bad vibes. And the last thing that I'm going to note about Where Sleeping Girls Lie is definitely how great the representation was in this book. I really loved just hearing it from our main character's perspective. She was born in Nigeria, and so as somebody who has no like exposure to what that's like, I thought it was really great to be able to understand her character and her culture, and the way it was done was just so well done. I loved how we had a bunch of we had characters with different sexual orientations. I was surprised that there wasn't a non-binary character in this book, but I think that it definitely hits the mark for representation in like a tasteful way. So I will be awarding Where Sleeping Girls Lie a total of 4 stars. It feels good to start off the new month with a book that just hits it for 4 stars. I do think that the book was a little bit longer than it needed to be, like maybe cut it down by like 100, 200 or so pages. And I think that it would have been like perfect because I did find that it started to drag a lot in the second part, more like the middle part of the second part. And then the third part was the best part, I think. Everything was like, yes. And I was like surprised at points. I was excited at points. I was stressed at points. And yeah, it was really well done. I definitely would say though, it was just a little bit too long at times. But overall, it was a good read. So the next book that I'll be reading is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is the only book of hers that I have not read yet. And so I've read Meet Me at the Lake, and I've read This Summer Will Be Different. And I actually got This Summer Will Be Different signed, which was really fun. Yeah, so I'm really excited to read this one. I believe it's her first book. And so yeah, I'm pretty excited to see, like, kind of compare it to her newest work, which I really, really liked. And again, I love her books because of the Canadian representation in them. So if you're interested in watching me read Every Summer After, I'm also going to read Mistborn at some point. I do have it. Let me show you. I actually do have it with me right now. Brought it with me. I do have it. I have to read it. I'm planning on reading it during this trip that I'm on. Yeah, so I'll be reading that. I also have a bunch of other books that I've been reading. So if you're interested in watching me read any of those books and you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you enjoyed this video, and if it's nice to finally have a different kind of background, even though I'm not in my apartment, but it's like kind of a vibe anyways, definitely hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!